Catus Maximus here. This time another promotional product that was sent to me for free. It wasn't paid, but it is a free ultrasonic cleaner. I take these products because I sell, gives me more content. One, two, I sell half of them so I can buy treats for that little beast right there. Anyway, a couple other reasons I got this CreWorks is one, interestingly enough, these pro models are black. So if you don't want the shiny, they are stainless steel, but they do some kind of coating on it. This is the 10 liter 240 watt model with a 600 watt heater. This is a pro line. It seems like compared to the vevor that I had reviewed earlier, the big 30 liter, that the pro models have much more powerful heaters. A 10 liter cleaner with a 600 watt heater, that's quite a bit of heat, and 240 watts of ultrasonic power is quite a bit for the bin area, which is about 2 hands or maybe 2 Blu-rays in size. Anyway, and I'm looking through all these ultrasonic cleaners. It seems like they're not quite linear. Like the 30 liter vevor has 600 watts of ultrasonic power, and even CreWorks' own 30 liter version of their Pro model is also 600 watts of power. So you would think a 10 liter at 240 watts, the 30 liter would be 720, but it's not quite. So there's kind of some sweet spots, like this one being 10 liters, 240 watts, which actually will offer some improved cleaning power. The other thing about these Pro models is it has both a degassing mode as well as a gentle mode. I think the gentle mode either just simply reduces the output power of the ultrasound transducers, or it actually changes the frequency, because different frequencies offer different levels of cleaning power. Industrial ones tend to run around 25 kilohertz. This is around 40 kilohertz for these type of benchtop units. You know, professional jewelry cleaning ones tend to be like 50, 60 kilohertz. And so this gentle mode, I don't know, and the manual doesn't actually say if the gentle mode is changing the frequency or simply changing the output power. The degassing mode is kind of interesting because it just turns it on for 10 seconds, turns it off for 5 seconds, which is something you want to do. As soon as you put the liquid into an ultrasonic cleaner, you want to run it for like 5 minutes just to get all the gas bubbles out. Other things I've learned, you don't want to use like Dawn or laundry detergent. You may get away with high efficiency, but you need non-sudsing type detergents, because sudsing type detergents actually decrease the efficiency because it just ends up making bubbles in the fluid. Last time I used Cascade powdered dishwashing detergent, which is actually pretty good. I had a few comments on my last video, and they're very educational. Another thing is, even though they say you can fill them to 2/3, really you want to fill to the crease, because that's how they're tuned and designed. Even if you're watching one tiny part, you really do want to fill it up to the crease. Also, you do want to use the basket, or if you have something large that won't quite fit in the basket but will fit in the tub, you need to have like some plastic standoff. So you don't want to have anything just flat against the bottom of the cleaner for 2 reasons. One, big metal parts that's against the bottom will vibrate and wear holes. Secondly, they can actually cause the transducers, which are piezoelectric high frequency speakers basically, can cause the sound to reflect back into the speaker, causing it to wear out and damage it. And I didn't know that. So you always want to have a little bit of space between the bottom of the pan and whatever you're cleaning. That's why the trays aren't just to make it easy to pull the stuff out, but they provide that slight amount of space. And so some of the tips you want to be aware of. Just fill it up, use the basket, and use a proper detergent. Cheap really is like Cascade, Complete or Cascade Premium powdered dishwashing detergent and tap water is the cheapest way to go. There's all sorts of cleaning agents specifically made for ultrasonic cleaners and a variety of others. There's a million YouTubes, and every YouTube video somebody uses a different cleaning agent, from literally from Pine Sol to Simple Green to whatever. I find the Cascade works great. Literally, this Cascade gets, it's unbelievable how well it works on dishes. in my simple dishwasher, it works great on parts too. Another tip is when you put in the detergent, run it for a couple minutes just to help evenly disperse the detergent in the water before you actually put your parts in. More tips: even though the sound waves reflect all around the bin and help really clean the parts, they're still going to be at the greatest intensity coming off the bottom, because that's where the 4 transducers in this, or where the transducers are welded to the pan. So when you put in a part, the actual bottom side will get a little bit cleaner than, say, the top side. So you may want to pause it or do a 15-minute run, flip it upside down, and then do another 15-minute run. So around 180 bucks or so for this, which is a reasonable price. That's the rare modes, really, is the degassing mode, and the gentle mode just is actually kind of hard to find on these Chinese ultrasonic cleaners. Only the best ones, or the highest end ones, do. And then once again, this super reflective but glossy black finish, which is a kind of a nice touch. If you're just tired of the silver and black works better in your environment, or you just like the way it looks better, there's an option. And surprisingly enough, even the bottom is black. And let's just take a quick peek inside. Taking a look inside, there's our 4 transducers. They do use soldered wires. Standard pipe fitting, so you can change out the drain if you want. Shameful, they're advertising 600 watts of heating power, but that clearly says 500 watts. Just one central bottom mounted heating element, which is actually just fine because heat rises. The vevor uses heating wires that are taped around the perimeter of the bin. So this is, or the tub. So this is, in one way it's better because it's all captured in this big aluminum piece. But it is only heating the center. Our 460 watt, those are piezoelectric ultrasonic transducers. And then our power supplies, which we have a primary control supply and then a secondary one to provide. So each one of these supplies is powering 2 of the transducers, and this primary supply is also providing power to the display unit and driving the fan, which actually sucks in from the sides and blows out the bottom, which I don't mind because these are used in shops. There's going to be a lot of debris getting under the unit, dust and stuff, and so instead of sucking that in, it's sucking it in through these side vents here and blowing it out through the bottom. So that's just fine. Not a lot else to say. They do use a lot of hot glue on all the terminals, so hopefully those will, stay connected and not have any issues. And the transducers, they weld bungs to the bottom of the tub and then they bolt them up, and you can just see there they're using grade 10.9 socket head cap screws, which is not 12.9s, but it's certainly not 8.8. So decent quality fasteners there, so I'll give them some credit. And once again, all those fittings seem to be stainless steel, except for the locking collar that appears to be zinc plated steel. But that appears to be a stainless steel elbow and a stainless steel tube, so I'll also give them credit for that. And last but not least, there's the little temperature probe. I'm going to give CreWorks an actual shout out for this. Like my vevor and just about every other one I've seen on YouTube, they just leave it at Celsius for the temperature measurement. They sell these things worldwide, so. And I'm actually kind of happy CreWorks actually had the electronics modified for the North American market. And as we can see, it's actually displaying in Fahrenheit, which is actually pretty nice. So I do appreciate that. Since the display is actually, and what's funny is it still has a set and actual for being Celsius. So instead what they've done is it just toggles between the set temperature. So when you actually adjust the temperature, say 120 degrees Fahrenheit, it displays that, and then it goes back to displaying the current temperature. So even though they didn't change the label, I still appreciate them putting it in Fahrenheit for us Americans. This is how loud it is. The heater is working when it's flashing like this. And if you're like in a freezing garage or something, then the heater will hit the temperature, it will turn off, and then as the temperature drops, it will turn back on. The ultrasonic also generates heat, but if it's really cold, it won't generate enough heat. Just got finished doing some hand tools, and as we can see, it does work. These things aren't magical, meaning like on these fasteners here, I had thick cross section of grease and grime. That's going to take multiple cycles. The other thing is that the cavitation, the sound waves reflect much better off of very hard surfaces. So right along the edges, you get the greatest cavitation. And actually in the thick cross sections of grease, the grease itself is absorbing some of the energy. So it just takes a little bit longer. You know, you'd behoove yourself, if you have heavy sections of buildup, to scrape them off or use a wire brush to kind of just knock the bulk of the material off. Then you'll get better efficacy. And we can see it still could use some work in the threads. These were ones where I had standing up, just facing the bottom of the tray. So I could do another cycle with them lying sideways to get the threads cleaned up. On some of these other fasteners here, it actually did a pretty good job. Another thing of note, and why I'm going to end up recommending this over at least the vevor Standard Edition one, is more than just having the temperature be at Fahrenheit, but also the fan is temperature controlled. I think it turns on right about 135 degrees and then turns off at like 130 or something like that. It's much more intelligent, because I was noticing the fan was plugged into the control board, where like on the vevor, the fan is just wired in series with all the power supplies, so the fan turns on as soon as you turn on the ultrasound or the actual cleaner. That's an issue, because if you're in a cold environment, you're trying to keep the water warm, the fan's always going and actually cooling the tank that you're trying to simultaneously heat. Or on this one, at least it's a little bit more intelligent, so if the water temperature is like, for instance, 120 to 130 degrees, there's a little bit of overshoot when the heater's going, that the fan stays off so that it has an easier time actually keeping the water temperature, which is more intelligent. Here's a quick look at the hand tool. So it won't really get rid of rust unless you do just a zillion cycles. I mean, the deal with ultrasonic cleaners is that the little bubbles get in the crevices, the cavitation bubbles get in the crevices that just there's no other way of getting into, and that they're kind of just all-encompassing 360 degrees internal and external. Some things like this set of parallel jaw BMC locking pliers, like that internal area where there's a bunch of buildup around the screw, it did just an excellent job, but didn't do much for like the rust and stuff. And of course it's not agitating, it's not spraying water into anything. So that's why you have to thoroughly rinse everything off, let it dry, and then hit it with WD-40 or oil to obviously prevent it from rusting. So overall, I like this a little better than the vevor, just because it has a temperature controlled fan, so that when you're using the tub heater, that it's not fighting against the cooling fan unless it's getting too hot, which is smart. I like that the temperature is displayed in Fahrenheit, and you know that it's operating when it's flashing, and it turns on and off automatically through the cycle. I like that it has a Degas mode and a gentle mode, which a lot of them don't do. And the fact that it's black, so it's just a different color if you want one that just isn't shiny silver. Anyway, appreciate CreWorks sending this to me, and thanks for watching.